Over the past 3 years, the prevailing global economic conditions have led to a significant shift in the focus of our discussions on this channel. Rather than delving into intriguing economic concepts or extolling the virtues of Norway, a substantial amount of our airtime has been dedicated to addressing the latest national economic crisis. Economists, often characterized by a tendency toward pessimism, have, both on YouTube and in the tangible realm, directed their attention toward unraveling the aspects of economic turmoil. This predilection is driven by the prevailing preference among most individuals to first comprehend the sources of adversity before embarking upon any other economic discourse. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel for more future videos and give this video a like below. Nonetheless, there exists a rationale for adopting an optimistic outlook. The aggregate global output presently surpasses its pre-pandemic levels from late 2019. Anticipations indicate that, within the confines of this year, or conceivably even the preceding year, the global economy is poised to eclipse the monumental milestone of a GDP exceeding $100 trillion for the very first time. This achievement underscores a remarkable expansion, with the world's production capacity tripling over a span of merely 23 years since the dawning of the new millennium. Within this time frame, the human population has burgeoned by 2 billion individuals. While this is indeed a substantial increment, it accounts for only a moderate rise of around 30%. Consequently, the average denizen inhabiting our expansive and diverse planet finds themselves endowed with twice the economic prosperity compared to their counterparts merely a generation ago. It is vital to acknowledge, however, that the fruits of this prosperity have not been universally distributed. The ascent of affluence is marred by an exacerbating inequality as the world burgeons economically. This trajectory has led to a more polarized distribution of wealth. Nevertheless, for the common person, the contemporary existence holds a superior quality of life, arguably the best it has ever been. When economists momentarily pivot from dissecting crisis, a consensus emerges that this trajectory of improvement is poised to persist. Despite the overarching positive narrative of global economic well-being, an emerging pattern is becoming discernible. This trend predominantly plagues developing economies. Notably, within the span of this year, which has yet to reach its midpoint, economies such as Lebanon, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan have endured near-total collapses. A comparable crisis is unfolding in around a dozen other nations, each in varying stages of economic disarray. It is imperative to unravel the underlying causes of this phenomenon in the present, as opposed to the landscape of 2 or 3 years prior, when the global economic state arguably faced even more dire straits. Amid this perplexing scenario, questions emerge. What precipitates this sudden surge of economic collapses across disparate nations? Are there shared underlying issues that perpetuate these economic failures? Can economists proactively devise strategies to circumvent these issues and prevent the inadvertent unraveling of other economies? The prevalence of national economic breakdowns within developing economies, as opposed to either underdeveloped or advanced economies, can be attributed to a confluence of factors. Advanced economies possess a multitude of advantages over their developing counterparts. Undeveloped countries, exemplified by Mali or South Sudan, predominantly exhibit informal economic systems. Their populations lead lives that are notably less intertwined with formal market structures than those of most other regions globally. Within these societies, individuals subsist on meager incomes, frequently amounting to less than $2 per day, particularly in rural settings. However, their resilience emerges from their ability to largely produce and cultivate their own sustenance, construct their shelters, and provide communal services, fostering self-sufficiency within small communities. In such contexts, traditional barter systems and non-monetary exchanges play a significant role, rendering the formal medium of exchange, money, less crucial. Regrettably, the goods generated for personal use remain unaccounted for in national economic output statistics, and even if they were, their quantification would prove exceedingly intricate. Hence, the macroeconomic depiction of these countries often portrays a bleaker image than reality. A parallel situation can be observed in advanced economies, where tasks performed for personal upkeep, such as house cleaning, are excluded from economic output calculations. Conversely, providing a cleaning service for others and earning remuneration contributes to GDP as a formal service. In both developing and advanced economies, a larger segment of the populace dedicates their labor to generating market-oriented output as opposed to subsistence production. While this arrangement facilitates specialization, resulting in increased overall productivity, it also engenders a greater dependence on market dynamics. Individuals become less self-reliant in producing all their necessities, a scenario more reminiscent of the circumstances in undeveloped economies. Nonetheless, this distinction doesn't imply a life of ease or affluence within the latter economies. It underscores that if the recorded economic output were to decrease by, say, 20% in a given year, the impact on the average person's quality of life within an undeveloped economy would likely be less severe compared to an economy where a significant portion of labor contributes directly to market-driven value creation. On the converse end of the spectrum, advanced economies boast several advantages that substantially mitigate the likelihood of outright collapses. These economies frequently house industries that supply valuable goods and services on a global scale, engendering a consistent and dependable source of foreign income. Furthermore, their elevated standards of living make them attractive destinations for skilled workers worldwide. This influx allows them to promptly address skill shortages as needed. When an advanced economy requires specific skill sets, it can issue working visas to attract professionals enticed by higher salaries and improved living standards. Depending on visa stipulations, this approach can even foster self-adjusting unemployment rates. If the labor market experiences a downturn, resulting in reduced demand for workers, those unemployed skilled professionals may be compelled to return to their home countries, thereby mitigating the unemployment strain on the advanced economy. The intricate interplay of market reliance, self-sufficiency, and external advantages differentiates the outcomes of economic challenges in developing, undeveloped, and advanced economies. While economic difficulties are by no means absent in advanced economies, their inherent strengths and robust systems act as safeguards against precipitous collapses. Advanced economies possess a distinct advantage in their ability to secure loans at lower interest rates, often from their own more affluent populations. Some advanced economies even have the privilege of borrowing in their native currencies, thereby evading the complexities of foreign exchange rate fluctuations and the need to source foreign currencies for loan repayments. This stands in contrast to many economic collapses observed in developing countries, which have been triggered by temporary interruptions in their access to US dollars. These interruptions can result from trade slowdowns or the withdrawal of funds by US-based institutions back into their domestic market. The current global landscape is witnessing a similar phenomenon due to heightened uncertainty and increased interest rates, prompting multinational corporations to opt for safer investments, such as government treasuries with high yields and minimal risk. This trend compounds the pressure on developing economies, compelling their governments to offer even higher interest rates on government bonds to attract investors who might otherwise prefer the safety of domestic treasuries with virtually assured repayments. An illustrative example is Sri Lanka, which is currently grappling with the challenge of paying a staggering 24.4% interest on its 10-year government bonds, yet still struggles to allure a substantial investor base. This situation underscores a critical point: the erosion of the government's pivotal role in fostering economic growth. Effective governance is a linchpin of any economy, and one of its principal functions is to establish the essential infrastructure that underpins various industries. This infrastructure encompasses vital components such as shipping ports, airports, road networks, telecommunications, and even education and healthcare systems. For instance, consider the global giant Amazon, which relies on these infrastructural elements to facilitate its worldwide operations. While eventual privatization of these utilities can be advantageous, the onus initially lies with governments to construct these foundational pillars. Well-conceived infrastructure investments can galvanize economic expansion, generating additional tax revenue through heightened industrial activity. This revenue, in turn, serves to repay the loans extended to fund the infrastructure projects. Unfortunately, most governments lack the luxury of printing their own currency to finance such endeavors, especially when dealing with prominent international companies that are reluctant to accept payment in a currency lacking substantial value. Instead, these entities typically demand transactions in globally recognized reserve currencies such as the US dollar. Advanced economies enjoy a substantial upper hand in this arena. Their ability to borrow at favorable terms, coupled with their capacity to generate consistent foreign income, grants them a degree of stability that developing economies often struggle to attain. This reality underscores the pivotal role of effective governance in fostering a conducive economic environment. Through the strategic construction of infrastructure that fuels industrial growth and propels national development. Advanced economies possess a significant advantage in the realm of infrastructure, thanks to their existing infrastructure frameworks. While continuous reinvestment, expansion, and upkeep remain essential, the task of building from scratch and hoping for adequate industrial stimulation to repay loans is both complex and risky. Advanced economies enjoy the benefits of lower interest rates when borrowing money, exemplified by the 3.43% yield on a 10-year U.S. federal bond. In practice, very few nation-building endeavors can deliver such a high proportion of economic activity consistently. This reality questions the feasibility of an economy solely developing itself in this manner. Additionally, successful development necessitates prudent investment in projects that not only appear impressive, but genuinely contribute to the nation's economic advancement. In recent years, one of the most notable sources of foreign investment into developing countries has been China's Belt and Road Initiative. China extended affordable loans to predominantly undeveloped and developing economies, aiming to construct infrastructure that aligned with its trade network expansion. While the allure of infrastructure development was compelling, China's influence over project selection favored those that enhanced trade with China, potentially sidelining other vital economic investments. An economic collapse can be likened to a fire that requires fuel and oxygen to exist, yet remains dormant until a spark ignites it. In the context of economics, the spark is an economic shock, which falls into two main categories: supply shocks and demand shocks. An economic shock pertains to any unexpected alteration in market dynamics. A supply shock might occur if a region experiences a devastating earthquake that destroys its factories, leading to an abrupt and unforeseen reduction in the supply of goods. Such a situation can magnify existing economic vulnerabilities. Conversely, a demand shock could transpire when an entire population reacts to distressing news by refraining from spending in order to secure their savings for potential adversity. Consequently, businesses face reduced sales, leading to staff cutbacks, elevated unemployment, and an overall strain on the economy. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.